Why are corporate dealers eating your market share up? In this episode, we're going to talk about the 5 reasons why independent car dealers are losing market share and going away. There's a lot of important stuff to talk about in this episode of Down Payment.
Welcome to Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. Prepare to learn something new about the industry that keeps us moving.
Check out all our podcast content on our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X. Welcome back, dealers. I don't want to bring you a doom and gloom episode, but it's some important stuff that we have to talk about. The reality is, it's a tough time in the car business, and it's exacerbated by the fact that you are under more competitive pressures than ever before from corporate car dealerships. And it's really important to take this global look as to what the problem is and why independent used car dealers are failing to effectively compete with corporate dealerships time and time again. 25 years ago, in most states, the corporate car dealership share of the used car sales was like 0%. I mean, it was small. It was very small in most states. And now in a lot of states, that market share is 25, 30, 35, 40%. That is scary. That's leaving your dealership an increasingly smaller percentage of the pie. Fewer customers now than ever before are willing to buy from you. And that should be scary. Why is that? In this episode, we're going to explore that in some detail. These are the 5 reasons why independent car dealers are losing market share and going out of business against their corporate competition. And number 1 is technology. The first thing on the list we have to talk about is how corporate car dealers have done such a better job embracing and adapting to changing technology. The last 25 years have had a tremendous transformation in the technology we use to communicate with our customers and how we sell cars, how we build car deals, how we market them, how we recon them. Technology has been transformational in this industry. Unfortunately, independent car dealers, by and large, have been slow adopters compared to their corporate competition. Their corporate competition in general provides a better, slicker, meaner, more agile, omni-channel approach where customers can buy, whether it's online or in person or a hybrid model driven by the customer's demands. As far as technology and marketing, corporate has done a great job. It's the one thing that corporate really knows how to do well is the high-grade, glossy social media marketing and online advertising. We're moving too slow there. And then when it comes to being able to recondition cars, unfortunately, the technology is expensive, and corporate, which has capital advantages over independent car dealers, is often edging us out competitively. So technology is a big thing, and it's not something that any dealer can solve overnight, but we have to have a mind towards wherever we can build creative advantages against our bigger competition, using technology, understanding technology better and faster and more agile, we're going to do better, is so important to your survival as a car dealer. The next, and this is such a big one, is corporate culture. Now, we talk about culture a lot on this podcast, and it bears repeating. So for so many reasons, people make fun of corporate culture. There are downsides to corporate culture, but overall, corporate culture is outcompeting our traditional independent used car dealer business culture, hands down. And that culture is everything from the human resources side, the HR side, the employee retention side, the recruiting side, all the way down to the creative side of corporate culture. They're able to bring in people that are more specialized and give them greater creative freedom to be able to pursue advantages that have not been pursued thus far. There is a lot of creativity that comes along with corporate culture, and there's a lot there that we need to be able to, as car dealers operating on much smaller scales, embrace and be more nimble and outcompete our corporate competition. The third one, and I know this is a tough one for a lot of dealers right now, it's the capital advantage that corporate brings. Unfortunately, scale brings with it some advantages when it comes to accessing capital. And your corporate dealers are able to access markets, get capital in ways that we never could think of. A lot of our corporate competition is publicly traded, and they have the advantages that come along with that as far as getting capital. They're able to do more sophisticated things as far as bundling notes and securitizing them and raising capital that ways. And capital is always going to be one of those big struggles for most dealers, especially those dealers that are operating some sort of buy here, pay here financing arm. And so it's something that you have to be creative. You got to be looking ahead, and you've got to always have a mind towards looking to new and creative ways of accessing capital, knowing that your corporate competition has such an advantage on you in so many ways with this. Oftentimes, their money is cheaper and more easily available. Now, the fourth one is the second most important one that I will bring to your attention today, and that is business strategy. Business strategy is the differentiator that has allowed corporate dealerships to run like a hot knife through butter and take away so much of our customer audience. So many of our customers have been lured away because the corporate dealers are not trying to match what the independent dealers are doing. The independent dealers have a dangerous tendency to try to follow a static business model. The big corporations understand on a deeper level oftentimes that they have to adapt and change. And that's unfortunate because this is one area where naturally your independent dealers operating smaller businesses are supposed to be more nimble than their big, giant, bureaucratic corporate cousins. This is an area where independent dealers can do more to do creative business strategy, differentiate yourself, and offer something unique in the market. All too often, we try to be exactly like our competition, if even unwittingly. Be creative, explore different models, test things out. Your tests may fail, but it's worth testing out and seeing where you can gain traction and gain an edge and do something different in this industry. That's what the corporate dealers have done, and that has been one of the single biggest factors driving their success. Now, finally, it's our fifth item on the list, but it's our most important one. I call it the customer trust delta. Delta means difference. So the customer trust delta, unfortunately, driving a customer experience based on good, value-based, innovative sales strategies, your corporate competition has produced a product that by and large, your customers trust better than the independent, lesser known brand that you offer. And that's a huge problem for our industry. Unfortunately, our industry, and we've talked about it before, but our industry is maligned by stereotypes and perceptions that we are pushy and we offer a bad sales experience, and people are intimidated by the car buying experience from car dealers. And really, the independent car dealers bear the brunt of that perception. Your big corporate used car dealerships have done a great job of trying to offer a differentiated customer sales experience that avoids that stereotype. And as a result, the market is showing that customers trust them more. We can fix that. We've talked about it in previous episodes. Good value-based sales, being responsive to the customer, letting the customer drive where the sales experience goes is so important. And I've also talked about how it's important for every independent car dealer in this industry to have a good public relations game. In fact, we're going to talk about that in another episode coming up pretty soon, because PR is so vital to the continuation of not only your business, but the industry writ large. And every single dealer has an obligation to this industry to have a good public relations campaign driving this industry forward, because our survival absolutely depends on it. With that, we've talked about a lot of reasons why corporate car dealers are having so much success and are driving independent car dealers out of business. But it's not all doom and gloom. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we're going to talk about the advantages that independent car dealers have and why corporate car dealers will never get rid of the independent car dealer. A lot more to talk about. I can't wait to hear your comments on this episode, so definitely leave them. And with that, go sell some cars. It's vital to our industry, and it's been another episode of Down Payment. Check out our podcast on all our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X.
Thank you for listening. Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers, is a production of Meta Financial Services Incorporated.